Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Failures to Fortunes podcast, the show where we fearlessly dive into the untold stories of real estate investors' greatest setbacks and how they turned those failures into resounding successes. I'm your host, Kate Berry, and we're talking with real estate investors across the country to learn exactly how and why they failed, and how they took that failure and turned it into a powerful lesson for their business. So come along with me, Kate Berry, on this transformative journey from failure to fortune. I invite you to join our supportive community where together we can inspire, educate, and motivate each other to achieve all of our real estate investing goals. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, From Failures to Fortune, a real estate investing podcast. And we are a platform where we fearlessly explore the untold stories of real estate professionals, their greatest failures, and how they overcame them to achieve remarkable success. Through candid conversations with investors from diverse backgrounds, this podcast aims to inspire, educate, and motivate listeners by highlighting the transformative power of perseverance in the world of real estate investing. And I am Kate Berry. I am with eXp Realty, the Kate Berry team out of Brattleboro, Vermont. And I'm here today with my guest, Jordan DeStefano. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
Jordan is a real estate agent and investor, so he's got that triple threat, and podcast guest. He is in the Long Island, New York market with Realty Advisors Group. So thank you so much for joining us today, Jordan.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. I'm excited. I've done a couple podcasts before, so I'm excited to, talk a little bit about my journey in real estate so far.
Who doesn't love talking about themselves, right?
That is true. That is very true.
You get to be the one that gets asked the questions, always as agents or investors, we're working with our clients and making them feel, like they're the most important person in the room. So now you get to take a turn in that seat for once.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like that.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into real estate, and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I'm coming up on 2 years as a licensed agent. I'm also actively growing my, rental portfolio as well. I actually just closed on my second rental property a couple weeks ago. It's actually down in Texas. Thank you.
Oh,
and kind of just going back to how I got into real estate. I got into real estate very young. Even at the back end of high school, I kind of just started to read books about money and financial literacy. And I'm sure everyone knows Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that kind of it started to change my perspective a little bit, especially because I was in the back end of high school, where you start to think about colleges and what you're going to major in. So reading these books about real estate kind of really started to change my perspective a little bit, and kind of made me start to think a little bit different. So yeah, real estate investing, it was just, I just, I wanted to read more books about it. I wanted to, talk to everybody I knew who was in real estate. And it hooked me, I just think it's a great vehicle to, grow your wealth, obviously chase that goal of financial freedom. And, so I was just very interested in real estate. I wasn't in.
Were you alone?
I'm sorry?
Were you alone in that endeavor? Were you a kind of a lone wolf learning about real estate, or did you have friends or family that was in it to help you get started?
Honestly, I was alone at first. I didn't really know anybody who was in real estate. It was kind of just me and the people I followed on Instagram who looked like they were doing well, and all the authors of the books I was reading. And I was just because I was so young, everybody, all my friends, I was like, hey, like, any of you guys interested in real estate? They were all like, no. What's that? So at first I was kind of alone, and I just got so interested in real estate when it came time to decide what college I want to go to. I honestly told my parents I didn't even want to go to college, and they were like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
You have to go to college. So they're like, you have to go, give it a shot. We're paying for it, so you don't have to come out of pocket. At least give it a chance. So I'm like, fair enough. So I gave it one chance. I did one semester in upstate New York at Oneonta. And I just hated it. I hated it so much. I hated it. I just hated it so much. I can't even say anything more. And while I was there, I just kept learning more about real estate. I would watch all the YouTube videos, read all the books I could find, kind of join all the online groups that I heard of,
Bigger
and
pocket,
then kind of
like
yep,
that
yep, all of
Bible
those,
real estate investing.
yep,
So
yep. And I
many
was
resources
just
out there, right? There's so many ways for people who are new to real estate to get involved. There's free resources out there to change your situation. I love that you dove in like that.
yeah, it was just the more I learned about it, the more I wanted to learn about it. And it kind of came to, as I was finishing up my first semester at school, I kind of just had a conversation with my parents. I said, hey, I really don't like this. I think we need to switch things up. And, they understood that. They said, okay, we gave it a shot. So I ended up transferring to a school near me to kind of just figure out what I wanted to do. And while I was there, I decided to take the online course to get my real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my real estate license as I was finishing up my first year of college. And during that whole summer, I was a full-time real estate agent. And I loved it. It excited me. I was meeting new people. I was meeting a lot of realtors who also invested in real estate. And I was like, this is it. This is where this is where I belong. So, after that first year of college,
If you don't mind me asking, what year was that when you first started?
like how old I was or
Or just
what year?
yeah, what year was it? Pre-pandemic? Was it, what year was it when you first got licensed?
It was 2022 is when I got my license. So I was
Okay. Pandemic.
Yeah, I finished up my second semester of school in May, and I got my real estate license in May. So that whole first summer of 2022, that's when I was a full-time agent. And after being an agent, full time in the summer, me and my parents decided it made sense for me to not go back to school. So I didn't go back to school, and I guess I was officially a college dropout. I'm a college dropout, which is
That's
kind of
so
funny to
many,
say.
many really successful people are college dropouts, even high school dropouts. I mean, what is it about real estate? What is it about real estate, the work that you enjoy the most?
I mean, I like helping people. I like talking to people. I'm not like, I don't like to be sitting at a desk all day. I like to kind of be talking to people. Hey, how can I help you? What are you looking for? I like to kind of just, I mean, all real estate agents like houses, but I just like kind of,
No, it really is. It's more about the people than the houses. And
yeah,
you
I mean,
got started in 2022, right? So if you're in May 2022, for me, that what the between the period of May to through basically the end of 2023, for our market, that was when everything started to slow down because we had the interest rate hike in July of 2022, and they'd been kind of creeping up at that point. So our market got totally stalled out. And I'd love to hear about your first 6 months experience. And we're going to go into kind of our failure moment. And I would love to hear more about those first 6 months for you and your time as a new agent and your experiences.
yeah. So my first 6 months, they were kind of like up and down. Like the first 2, 3 months, you're so excited. I was on a team. I was learning everything I could. I was going on all the showings with my team leaders. She would take me on some listing appointments just so I can kind of hear how she talked to people. And I was so excited. I loved it. And then like 3 months in, I'm like, this is great, but I made no money. Like it was a little frustrating. And a few more months go by, and I'm like, crap, dude. I'm like, all these leads don't answer me anymore. A lot of these people don't want to work with me. A lot of these people don't take me serious. A lot of these people say I'm too young. And it kind of just, you almost just, it's like, crap, I dropped out of college. I've been doing this for 6 months and I've closed no deals. I spent all this money on marketing and clothes and advertising, and you
License
kind of feel like,
class,
yeah,
it's a lot of money to get started.
yeah, it is. So I'm like, dang it, 6 months have gone by. I've lost money. I dropped out of college for this. I kind of feel like a fool. Was
Mm.
this the right decision? And it was almost, I was just like mentally fighting myself. Like, was this a good idea? Is this worth it? All my friends are having such a good time at college, and I'm getting my ass kicked in real estate. And I'm just like, I didn't know if it was a good decision. I know if I should go back to school. And I guess I just decided to, keep pushing, keep working it out. And I would read about other people's success stories and kind of, they said they had a similar start of, the first couple of years you get your ass kicked. And, it's, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to quit? Are you going to, are you going to push through it? So I pushed through it. And then the next 6 months, I was doing 1 or 2 deals a month. It was just one thing led to another. One person introduced me to another. One deal led to 2 deals, led to 3 deals, led to referrals, led to, and it just snowballed. And, I never looked back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm thankful I made it through that kind of rut that I went through, because if I quit, I would be in a totally different spot right now.
Yeah, that's so right. And it is really hard to know if you're doing the right thing. But I think what I'm getting most from your story is you were doing the right thing. You were following up with your leads. You were marketing yourself. That's the work that many new agents don't do, because it is an expense, and it's hard to put money into that when you're not having anything come in. But that's part of the investment, I think, right? Because then you hit that waterfall mark because you were doing everything you were supposed to be doing all along the way. That's why now you've got that 1 or 2 deals a month.
Yeah, and it's funny though, because like you realize, you look back, it's like what's different from now to when I was, going through that rut and wasn't doing anything. I'm like, I'm still doing the same daily activities. It's like, why am I successful now? It's because it took time. It took time for, you to build that credibility, build that trust, get a few deals under your belt. So it's like you kind of just, I think a lot of people, they do something for, okay, I made 10 phone calls, nobody's selling, this isn't working. All right, I knocked on 3 doors, nobody's selling, this isn't working. All right, I posted 2 videos on social media. Why haven't I made $1 million yet? And then they quit. Like, it's just a lot of people are
Because it
obsessed with this.
and I posed in front of it and took Instagram pictures. Why is no one calling me?
Exactly. It's just everyone's obsessed with this instant gratification and thinks it's just going to come easy. But you gotta, I think a lot of people dramatically underestimate the amount of reps it takes to be successful. Like when I was cold calling, it took around, 5,000-6,000 phone calls for me to get an appointment and get a signed listing out of it. You know what I mean? I think people just underestimate the amount of repetitions it takes to be successful.
That is absolutely right. The consistency and the amount of force and effort you have to put forward every single day. You know, it's not the thing, it's not the work itself is not hard. What's hard is doing it every day and going through disappointments and calling people that don't call you back. But have you felt that your experience as an agent has helped you as an investor?
100%, because I think a lot of people become an agent with kind of like similar goals as me. They want to get their real estate license to kind of just learn more about real estate, make more connections, and hopefully it translates into helping them buy properties. So I think a lot of people get into real estate with the same goals as me. And it 100% has, because a lot of the realtors you network with, they invest in real estate as well, and they can connect you to, they could tell you about their deals, tell you how they found their deals, tell you how they finance their deals, connect you with connect you with who helped them, their contractors and their title companies and their attorneys and all that. So just through networking with other agents in my market, I met so many people. And, when I bought my first rental property, I used the attorney. I met the attorney I met through being an agent. The person who financed it, I met through being an agent. So if I didn't meet this team from being an agent, none of this would have been put together.
That's right. Absolutely. It's so true. You need to have that team, that networking, building relationships. And I think the way that you do that professionally is to connect with other professionals, other leading, like you joined a team. I think that's such a smart thing to do as a new agent. Join a team where you can work with the other top producers in your market. Even if you're not making sales right away, you're learning from them, you're listening to them. Like you said, I love what you said, that when you went to go along her listing appointments to see how she talked to people, you're observing her. And because as a top producer, of course she knows what she's doing, right? It's not magic that some agents close 100 deals a year and others don't. It's not luck, it's hard work. And it's professionalism too. And so you mentioned that you had your most recent deal in Texas. I'd love to hear about how you found that deal, what kind of deal it was. Would love to hear more about that.
So this house is actually it was a sub two deal, and for those of you who don't know sub two, it's basically, I guess, not assuming but taking over somebody's loan subject to. And the reason you do that is because a lot of people a few years ago locked in rates that are 2.5%, 3%, which is significantly better than what banks are offering out now. So when you can take over somebody's existing loan subject to, you get much better terms than you would if you were to go ask a bank for a loan at the moment. So I actually had a friend. I have a friend who has built a nice portfolio in Texas. Going back again to networking, it's important. So actually, somebody I went to high school with, a couple years old, older than me, he's built a nice portfolio in Texas and Florida. Has good relationships around there. Has a team down there, and he wholesales some of his deals out, and he knows I've been looking to build my portfolio, and he had this deal in Texas that had great interest rate, and he said, "Are you interested in buying it?" And I said, "Absolutely." He told me about it, and I signed contracts an hour later and wired the AMD to the title company. I jumped on it right away.
Right.
So yeah, my friend wholesaled it to me. It's in Killeen, Texas. It's right outside a big military base. It's right outside of college, near an airport, and I took over a 2.6% interest rate.
Oh my gosh. I'd take anything with that, right?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I didn't even need to hear anything else. He said,
Right.
"Listen, the guy's interest rate is 2.6." I said, "Where do I sign?"
Is it a single family?
It's a single family home. Yep. And the home was actually built in 2011. So it's a newer home.
Okay. And so are there renters in place or do you have to find tenants now?
It's vacant. I have it listed with the leasing company. It's on the market right now. We just got it on a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it's vacant. It's crazy. So much different than prices in my market. It's a 2,400 square foot home and it's worth around 280, 285. So in my market, it'd be like a lot more than that.
Or more like in the 600s or so in yours, if not more than that.
Yeah, no, my market's crazy.
And was that your buy box essentially when you were, this person that connected you with the deal? I mean, there must be a reason that they sent it to you. Either they thought it was a good deal or it matched the criteria you told him to look for.
Yeah, so I saw on social media he was buying all these houses, and I reached out to him and I said, "Hey man, we got to get together. I got to find out more about what you're doing." And he told me more. And I'm like, "Listen, Tom, I'm so interested. If you ever come across a deal, this fits exactly what I'm looking for. Please reach out to me. I'm ready to jump on it." And we built such a great relationship. He's one of my close friends now, and he's acquired so many properties where he's not in the acquisition phase anymore. He's kind of just mostly wholesaling them out. So it ends up working out really well.
I love that. I love really what you did is you followed up on what you said. You're reaching out to someone who is doing what you want to do, or you want to be close to someone that's doing that level or in that type of real estate sector where you're wholesaling deals like that. And what you did was you told him what you wanted. He sent you what you wanted and you took it and you said, yes, let's do. So when you do what you say you're going to do, if you are actually following through on when you talk to someone who's in that level, he will send you every deal he gets. Now you will be at the
100%.
top of that list.
Yeah, it's all about building, the credibility, especially when you're an investor and you're working with, partners. They want to see that you can close. They want to see that you're motivated, serious, and that you're ready to go. So once you kind of build that trust with each other, then you're on the top of his list.
I mean, I always say it's so simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And it's really what's so 90% of the new folks that come into this industry miss. And it is, once you're a top producing professional, you have to deal with a lot of noise. He probably gets 10 or 12 messages an hour to his inbox of someone saying, "Hey, I love what you're doing. I want to know how do you do it. I'm interested." And 90% of them are going to fall off. Or once they learn that it is kind of hard, they're going to back off, right? But you didn't. You pushed through, um, pushed through all of that and ended up closing a deal, which is, I mean, it's not easy to do. Was it a relatively smooth transaction after he wholesaled it to you?
It was, yeah, it was my first sub two deal. So, we had to work out all the, little details like, homeowners insurance, I gotta get a new policy. I got to sub out the old policy. I have to get the previous owner's mortgage login.
Exciting.
There's, yeah, there's little things you have to do to, work it out. But, my friend, he didn't just wholesale it to me and, leave me hanging out to dry. He walked me through it. He helped me through every step of the deal. So that was great.
That is like a contact worth their weight in gold, really, truthfully. What a great resource and friend for you to have. That's fantastic.
I know. Went to high school with me, lives 5 minutes away. We connected through, I just saw he was posting on Instagram about real estate, and now we're, I guess, little business partners.
So, you've had a real whirlwind, a real failure to fortune in my opinion. You may not be hitting necessarily the goals you have in mind for yourself, but you're on that path. So if you could look in the past and talk to yourself back then when you were having that really dark moment, that tough time, what advice or what would you say to yourself?
I would just say, I think this is just whatever business you're in, whether it's real estate or any type of entrepreneurship. Business is going to be hard. Only 1% of the 1% of the world is entrepreneurs, and only like 1% of those 1% succeed. So, it's not going to be easy. It's not the Lambos and the nice things you see on social media. It's hard. You got to be persistent. You got to be willing to work through it. It's going to take a long time. You got to keep showing up every day, and you got to just be resilient. It's hard. My first 6 months of business, I just felt like everything was going wrong. Feel like, it's just, you got to be able to just sometimes take the beating and keep pushing through.
That's right. And I think if it's hard, then it's correct. It's supposed to be hard. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's easy for anyone. And the perception is that, especially in real estate, if it's not easy, then it's not worth it. But it's so the opposite, right? It is, the harder it is, the more worth it is to get through that. Because if you can learn how to do a hard thing, like learning how to do a wholesale subject to out of state deal is not easy. That is a complicated deal to pull off. But you did that. And, yeah, 1% of 1% can do what you did. So, but the only way you learned it was by doing it, right? You didn't know how to do that before you got into this.
Yeah. And I like what you said, it's supposed to be hard, and it's only, it's almost like looking back now, and I'm not, exactly where I want to be, and I still have a long way to go, but it's just looking back now and how hard the path was and how awful it was and how much I hated and how much I wanted to quit. Looking back, I still wouldn't change a thing because I'm so happy I went through it, and all those challenges and every obstacle I got over just made me a better person, and just a better realtor, better investor, better everything. So looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. Those hardships are what made me, made me to what I am now.
Absolutely. They absolutely did. And, I found that as a realtor and investor, especially when the reason you love the job is helping people, you can help more people when you've gone through difficulties in real estate, because you can give them advice that they may not be able to get anywhere else if they're just talking to someone who just sells real estate and maybe hasn't gone through a deal, an investment deal, or, it will be harder for them to empathize with an investor client who's going through a difficult time. But you can provide massive value to your clients because you're doing it yourself.
100%. It's always good to have that tool in your tool belt. Just say, hey, I own a property here. Hey, I own a property here. This is what I went through. This is what I learned from it. This is how when something comes up with you in a deal, I now know what to do with it. I know how to, pivot and, so it's good to have that tool under your belt.
Yeah, yeah, you get into fighting shape too, right? Like you said, the reps. If you just start out in the boxing ring day one, you've never even stretched your legs, you're not going to be able to fight with the best. You got to
Hmm.
really go through some pain to be in the big leagues necessarily, and that's when it gets fun. It really, I think real estate has a point where it starts to become really fun because you have the tools, you have the reps, you have the connections, and then that's when the magic really starts to happen.
Yeah, and I listen. I think anything starts to become fun once you're good at it. But the only way you can become good at something is by starting and sucking. So, that's just the way it is. Like, when you play a sport, you're good at it. It's fun because you're good at it. But when you first started it, you sucked at it. So, in order to like something, you have to go through the initial phase of sucking at it. And every time you do it, you suck less and less and less and less until you're actually somewhat good, and then you like it.
Yeah, so you really should just be glad that you're sucking at it. You should be glad that it's hard because then you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. That's great, Jordan. And that kind of brings us to the end of our podcast interview where we talk about where you are today and what, tell us a little bit about your near future goals. We'd love to hear about your plans, where, what you'd like to achieve and how the community listening can maybe help you.
Yeah, so I mean, right now, I'm always looking to actively grow my portfolio. Obviously sub 2 deals are awesome, taking over an interest rate like that. So always looking to, grow my portfolio. I'm interested in any type of deal that, the numbers make sense. And even if I don't have the money, I could partner with somebody, who does have the money. Here in New York, we have a ton of people who have money who don't know how really know how to find the deals. And we're always looking to
Yeah.
partner together. So, and then kind of just on the realtor side, just I have a goal to list a certain amount of houses this year, make a certain amount of net commission. So just trying to get my name out there in my local area as well.
What is your ideal market to send a referral to or from, I should say?
Like investing wise, of where I'm looking to buy.
As a realtor for listing houses, if there's someone out there, and where in Long Island would you ideally love to have some great listings?
Yes, I service all of Nassau and Suffolk County. I live in Massapequa, so a lot of my business is around there, just because that's where most of my relationships are. So yeah, all of Nassau, Suffolk County, that's my spot.
Great. Oh, awesome. Well, that's it. And Jordan, if people want to reach out to you, if someone has a great subject to deal, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So my Instagram is Jordan_DeStefano. I check all my messages there. You can reach out to me there. Yeah, I would say Instagram is the best way to reach me. And if you look at one of my posts or you can press contact, you can probably get my phone number on there too. So anybody can really text me.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the things when you're a realtor, you're just like, my phone number's out there,
Exactly.
come to my home, I don't care.
I know. My girlfriend's like, you gotta get. I know. My girlfriend's like, you gotta get a work phone. I don't like all these people having your number. And I'm like, what am I gonna do about it?
It's just part of the business.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, I'm excited. I've got some great wholesalers in my investor client list that would love to be connected with you. I'm actually working on a subject to deal myself right now, and
Great.
they're looking to wholesale it. So we'll talk right after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Jordan. It was great to have you on, and thank you so much for sharing your story. We appreciate, your honesty and your vulnerability, because we all can learn lessons from folks that have gone through it. Because a lot of people listening may be feeling the same way you were back then, and really need to they need to hear it that there's a path through. And you just got to kind of keep doing what you're doing. Do the work. Call people, follow up, network, reach out to people, talk to people, provide value, and work with the best of the best. Do whatever you can to be alongside those top performers in your market, because that is how you will learn, just by being next to them, watching what they're doing exactly the way you did.
100%. I'm still in, the early chapters of my journey, but I've learned a lot. I'm having a lot of fun and meeting a lot of good people. So, this was a lot of fun too. So thank you for having me on.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Tune in the next time for Failures to Fortunes podcast. And I'm Kate Berry, your host, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Real Estate Investing Failures to Fortunes podcast. If you enjoyed today's stories and insights, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us. Remember, your journey in real estate is a marathon, not a sprint. Embrace the failures, learn from them, and turn them into your stepping stones to success. I'm Kate Berry, and until next time, keep hustling, stay inspired, and keep turning those failures into fortunes. Happy investing.